Hey, what's up? It's Comic 95 the Savior. For this video, I want to kind of give encouragement and advice for those of you that are already living in Japan and working here, and maybe you feel like throwing in the towel, you think you're completely done being in Japan, and or maybe you just want to change career paths. You feel like you've had enough, teaching just is not for you, you hate your job, you hate your life, you hate your company, etc. I want to tell you some of my own personal experience and give some encouragement to you, some advice for what you should do should you find yourself in that situation. If you are someone that is coming to Japan or considering it and you've been watching videos and reading blog posts and looking at, different group chats, etc., and Facebook pages, and you kind of feel discouraged because you've seen a lot of people saying, oh my god, I can't teach in Japan, I'm tired of this, etc., well, this video is for you. So, the first thing that I want to tell you is take a deep breath, relax if you are currently here. Before you quit your job, you want to really take some time to think to yourself, what are you going to do after you quit? Do you have another job backed up? Do you have money to pay for your ticket back home? Think rationally. I know that you probably had a bad day at work, you're stressed out, you're sad, maybe the kids make fun of you, your boss, didn't support you, you might be on the verge of getting fired, whatever the case might be, you need to relax and not let temporary short-term feelings make long-term decisions for you. I most certainly have been bit in the butt by letting my emotions get the best of me and quitting jobs on the spot. I've talked about this in journals that I've made. I've been pretty open and honest for the most part with you guys about my teaching experience here in Japan. I have most certainly quit jobs, I've left houses, I've done all kinds of stuff, I've changed schools. I am not a perfect foreign national, whatever, here in Japan. I've had my fair shares of bad days. I'm not someone coming to you from cupcakes and rainbows, but a perfect life, perfect story, and money, and telling you, oh, everything's perfect, everything's gonna get better. But it most certainly can. And this is coming from someone that's been through hell in Japan. I told you guys all of the crap that I've been through here. If you don't know my backstory on my horrible life in Japan, please watch my previous videos. I have tons of stuff that I've talked about in my journal videos, as well as my videos giving advice on living here in general. I've talked about all of the bad stuff I've experienced, and yeah, I've been through more than enough to make me want to go home, between sexual, harassment, being assaulted, and, between having bad, employers and bad coworkers, and shady housing, and, being in near homeless situations. I've starved, I've gone without food, I've had all types of bad situations, and all of those things did nothing but make me stronger. They helped me improve my Japanese. I learned what happens when you get yourself into these situations. Things like what happens if you don't pay your electric bill, what happens if you don't pay your water bill, your gas, whatever. I've had everything shut off on me at one point. It's practically living out of the mall. As I've talked about, I have been raped here before. Things have changed. We're not going to get into all of that stuff. This video is not for you to feel sorry for me, but rather to let you know I am someone that can definitely relate to you. If not, I've been in a worse situation than you have or are in. So, first things first is decide, do you really not like teaching or do you not like your job? There's a very big difference between the two. I personally am not teaching in Japan because it's the only job I can get and it's easy, blah, 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 and I'm American. No. If you were to have asked me when I was 3 years old, I've always wanted to be a teacher. I felt inspired to be a teacher because my siblings were older than me and they went to school before me. And even although I'm only about 1.5 years behind my brother, because I have a late birthday, I had to spend an extra year out of school, and I hated being at home, and I hated being with the babysitter, and I hated going to daycare. I wanted to go to school with everyone else. I used to cry because I could not. I've always said that I wanted to be a teacher. This has been the equivalent of fulfilling my childhood dream. The only thing that can make it any better is I would like to eventually spend some time teaching in the US, but that is an entirely different story. I have assisted teaching there, but I've never been a homeroom teacher. So, back on subject, let's get back to what we're talking about. With that said, you might actually be a great teacher and you might really enjoy teaching, but you're working for the wrong company with the wrong kids, the wrong adults, the wrong teenagers, in the wrong city. All of those things really need to be taken into consideration. For example, Teaching at a language school is totally different from teaching at a public school or teaching at an international school. It's also very different from teaching adults versus, there's a big difference between teaching, full-grown adults, salarymen, businessmen that are trying to take a business trip to Australia or America versus teaching 2-year-olds whose mothers are paying you to play outside with them in English. That's a very big difference. You also have to keep in mind the area that you live in. For example, if you're living in a city such as Osaka or Tokyo, you are in an area in which children, adults, whatever, are used to foreigners. Thus, you won't have to deal with so much ignorance, racism, dumb questions, or oh my god, a foreigner stares, and feel so uncomfortable, versus being in the countryside where foreigners are rare. People have more dumb assumptions and stereotypes about you that have not been broken because they haven't had the opportunity to interact with many. And, well, I hate to break it to you, but Japanese people, I ain't finna be PC, I'm gonna say how it is. They think in a pretty sheep-like manner. People don't think for themselves. They believe all people are this way. Best example of that is Chinese people. Almost everyone will openly tell you cannot date or be friends with a Chinese person, especially not date them, because they believe they're all dirty, ill-mannered, and basically loud, ghetto, ratchet. So, that's another story. My point is that people that haven't even interacted with someone that's Chinese already have in their mind, I will never, and very specifically Chinese people. Well, they have the same ideas about foreigners. They believe that we can never learn Japanese, we can never use chopsticks, we have, whatever, we're dirty, we're contaminated. They're treating us like, as of right now, I almost feel as though it seems more like we have the coronavirus or something, even although this started with Asians, but we ain't finna get there. That's another story, and hopefully by the time I look back on this video a year or two from now, the coronavirus will be a thing of the past. I hope. But let's not jinx it. So, back on topic. I'm sorry, this got really bad. Yeah, it all depends on what age group you're working with, the company you're working for, even the location. I personally did not enjoy working at a language school, but I really enjoyed working at an international school. I didn't enjoy working at an international school in the countryside, but I did enjoy working at an international school in a major city. Again, it all totally depends on the company, the location, and of course who the management is. Maybe you have the perfect job, but the people that you work around make your job hell. Maybe your new job, like mine, might be a little more difficult, but because you don't have so many bad people, surrounding you, in the workplace, you enjoy your job a lot more. Honestly, both this job and my previous job were very simple, but as I talked about in my vlog videos a long time ago, my little journal videos, that job was hell. I literally had days where I came home crying. I quit that job in tears, like a bitch, and it's very embarrassing to look back on, but it's true, and that's exactly how I ruined my hair too. I went through the typical meltdown like I was a teenager. I got the bright idea, hey, let's bleach, dye, and press the crap out of me. Not press, I relaxed it. I ruined my hair. I've never had short hair in my life. And yeah, big mistake. And it was even worse because I had to go pick up my check looking like Britney Spears. I had a psychotic meltdown. And that was after I quit. But thankfully from quitting my job, I found the job that I'm at right now and I love it. So, my point is, don't be afraid to switch jobs. You hear it a lot, people, work this job for X amount of years, stick with the contract, blah, blah, blah. But as I said before, if it's costing you your mental sanity, you don't feel comfortable and safe, your mental health, they're not treating you well, don't be afraid to resign. I don't recommend doing it the way that I did it. You should give notice. You should try to leave on good terms. But don't be afraid to leave. Don't be afraid to look for another job. Every time I've left any job that I've worked here, I've always gotten paid more. And you always leave, if for nothing else, besides just your pride, dignity, whatever, insanity, you leave with experience. You've got to work for another company. You've seen how different schools teach differently. They have different curriculum. Some have no curriculum. You deal with children at different English levels, adults at different English levels. Schools have different rules, different price points. It can give you your own information if you ever plan to start your own business. So, if nothing else, you leave with new experience, new knowledge. Don't see it as a waste of time, if nothing else. Another big thing that I feel makes people feel like they cannot teach is they don't know how to teach. Teaching, while it does seem simple, you just say stuff and people repeat you, or you just tell people what to do, it's a bit more than that. You really have to understand how people learn and be accommodating or, flexible to different people's learning abilities and their way of the style of learning, method of learning, etc. What worked for one student won't work for another. What worked for one class won't work for another. What worked for one group of kids one year will not work the next year, because you will have students at different language levels, different, learning abilities, etc. And even like with adult students, etc., they move on. People have different wants for conversation lessons. There's a lot for you to learn, and it's very overwhelming. You will have people that will book lessons with you, even if it's through your school, that will change their mind. I could even share with you right now one of the most embarrassing situations that I ever had, and I only got it because, again, I got the gist of what was being said, and I really wish that I had my Japanese language ability back then, because I would love to know what exactly did she say. I was working at a new school that just started up, and my student, she was okay with me for the first few lessons, and eventually at the end of one of our lessons, despite the fact this chick could barely speak English and couldn't understand like basic conversation, at the end of our lesson, she spoke with my boss, because my boss would always ask me how the lesson went, and she asked if I was a native speaker, and said that she wanted to take lessons with another teacher, because she felt like my lesson was not hard enough for her. To which, of course, I didn't understand the conversation going on at the moment. I was new to teaching English, but it honestly really hurt me. It was a huge blow to me. I was still a student myself, but again, the fact that I was going to school to be a teacher, and someone thought that what I was teaching was low because I didn't know enough English was her excuse. Now, whether that was her way of saying, I want a white teacher, or something else, I have no idea. I don't believe that she meant it in that kind of way. I think she really just felt like I did not understand how to teach adults. And again, it's fair game, but it was a learning experience for me. You will have people that are completely uninterested in what you have put together. For example, I've told you guys, I have an entire PowerPoint slideshow of different lessons on various topics for adults. I've had adults that, played along during the first lesson and then quickly said, yeah, that's cute, I'm glad you put that together, but I don't want that. I have my own stuff, or I just want to talk to you freely. And then despite them having those requests, when you have lessons, they're like talking to a brick wall. They don't know how to keep the conversation going. They have nothing to bring to the conversation. So I had to basically learn how to be almost like a host or something. You have to keep the conversation going. You have to act like you're like one of those girls at a girls' bar or something. Talk to the most boring, ugliest, creepiest, oldest guy who you know is only paying for you because they want to feel like they're on a date with a cute young girl that would never give them the time of day in their life. So you deal with situations like this. And again, you have people that will quit. You have people that will put in a bad word for you. You have people that will make you feel uncomfortable and make your shift feel like it's going by so slow. And you're like, oh my God, it's just 50 minutes, but it feels like 50 hours. And again, these experiences can make you feel like, I don't want to teach. Teaching isn't for me. It's too hard. It's too challenging. I don't know what to talk about. But it also helps you build and gain experience. You can get advice from other teachers. You have to constantly read up on teaching English, and it's really, really important to communicate with other teachers. See what their methods are. Watch other people's videos. Watch other teachers, methods of how they keep conversational lessons going. Keep up with the news. Don't be afraid to use the lesson to benefit you. I've told you guys before, during my lessons, I like getting the best of both worlds. My student is both paying me for my time, and I use that time for conversational lessons to get their opinions on, world news, as well as news going on in Japan. I've learned stuff about different cities, different states, different neighborhoods that I would have never learned about from a textbook, but this was cultural common knowledge in Japan. For example, I learned a ton about Japanese people's views on Taiwan and Okinawa that I had never heard of before, but I only learned from talking to Japanese people, as well as, even more information about Korea and, China, etc. Most of the information that I got came through English lessons. I asked all of my students, what's your opinion on this? Have you heard of that? And they love to go on and on and talk about these things. Then you can give your own, and you can share things about, what you think about your country and their country and so forth. So little things like that. Some things just take practice and experience. You will get better. I honestly felt like quitting shortly after I started teaching because I was like, oh my God, I feel so lost. I don't know what I'm doing. And I felt like I went to school to learn absolutely nothing. Because despite, having gone to school to be a teacher, I didn't feel like I knew how to teach. But to be honest, teaching English to people that don't speak it as a first language is not the same as teaching English to people who that's their only language. Not to mention, normally teachers don't deal with people of varying ages and there's more structure versus what you have here in Japan. So again, don't be so hard on yourself and don't be afraid to switch environments, switch schools, consider a different city. Consider, do you really not like your job or do you really not like your coworkers? Do you really not like teaching or do you really not like teaching kids? You can always switch those things. So before you throw in the towel, before you decide, I have to leave Japan, teaching is not for me, I need an IT job, there's nothing wrong with leaving if you really want to. There's nothing wrong with working an IT job in Japan. But do keep in mind that you really should give it another try. Don't be afraid to try out new things. Switch your scenery. Maybe it's where you're at that's making your situation bad. I did not have a good experience working in Kobe, but I actually did like working in Tokyo. I liked working in Kyoto. I liked working in Osaka. I got paid less working in Kyoto. I got paid more working in Osaka. So even the salary that I asked for, my job, I didn't even have to negotiate my salary. They gave me the salary that my last job wouldn't give me and told me was not up for negotiation. Now that was crazy. And on top of that, just a few months into working this job, they gave me a raise. So even more than what I was going to ask for. And this job, to this day, they have no idea that that was the salary that I wanted and that I was ready to negotiate for it. I didn't even have to because they already gave it to me, which kind of makes me feel like maybe I should have negotiated for more. But you get what I'm saying. I'm satisfied all the way around. This has literally been a dream job. I used to feel like, oh my God, I don't want to wake up. I would dread going to work. I, felt like I was in a rush to get there and I was in a rush to get home. And now I love going to work. I have to remind myself it's time to go home. It's easy to wake up in the morning. I look forward to seeing my boss. I look forward to seeing my kids. And, everybody doesn't love me at work. I have coworkers that can't stand my black ass. But you want to know what? I don't give a crap. And for the most part, everything's, not even for the most part, entirely, it's cordial. I can talk to anyone, speak to anyone about anything. I know deep down inside people have their own thoughts and feelings about me. And that's okay. Everyone is not obligated to like me. Doesn't make a difference. As long as you are not making, my job hell for me, I don't really give a crap. And the management at my company is so good. If you do have problems, you can get it resolved right through them. So, which I have had to do some things already, but that's another story. My point is basically, consider who you're working with. That definitely makes, a big difference. You can be working at the right company, you have the best, easy job, whatever, but the people that you're working with makes it, living hell and a nightmare. When you do find that good job, just like how I feel, you won't feel like it's a chore. It'll feel like you're being paid to do nothing. That's exactly how I feel. I have tons more work to do at this job than I did at my last one. But because I actually like my environment, I love my students, I love my bosses, I love my coworkers, I don't feel like I'm a slave. I don't feel like I'm a work mule, whatever. I feel human. I feel like I'm being paid. I feel like I'm a celebrity or something. You get millions and millions of dollars for a song you took 2 seconds to write, or a script that you didn't write, you were just doing what you were told to do and reciting a few lines that you didn't make up yourself. So that's exactly how I feel at this job. And then you guys have seen me post my stuff on Instagram, getting all the sweet little cards, letters, messages from parents and students makes my job, worthwhile. All the more makes it so much better. So again, every job is not the same here. Every teaching job is not the same in Japan. Being an assistant language teacher is not the same as being a full-on home teacher like myself and teaching every subject. It's also not the same as being a 50-minute to 1 hour, short English lesson, in an English textbook. Bye kids, see you next week, random homework assignment, do these 2 workbook pages type thing. It's totally different. Maybe that is better for you, maybe you prefer that. But keep in mind the pay is different for all of these jobs. Your title is different for all of these jobs. The work expected of you is different in all of these different jobs. So again, consider switching fields. Maybe you don't like being an assistant language teacher, but you prefer more control and feel more comfortable and better off as a homeroom teacher. So if you get nothing else from this, don't be afraid to test the waters, try out different jobs, try working in different cities, different locations. Don't be afraid to move. I won't lie, I'm only here in Kansai because of my boyfriend. I honestly don't like Kansai. But to be honest, now that my Japanese has actually improved, and I can actually communicate at a conversational level, which I could not do before, I probably won't like Tokyo when I go back. But honestly, Tokyo is where my heart is, and I would prefer to live there. But I've gotten so used to being here now. I know the metro system here better than I know Tokyo. I know shopping better here, and yeah, I probably would be a hot mess back in Tokyo, especially now that I can actually understand what's going on around me and read things around me that I previously could not when I used to live there. So that's that. I hope I encouraged you, motivated you to stay here, fight for it a little bit longer. I'm not trying to make you stay in a place that you're not happy. I'm just telling you that I've been in your position. I've been unhappy. I felt like throwing in the towel. I felt like going home. I've literally called my mom and been like, Mom, I can't stay here. I want to go home. I need to pay for a flight. And I, relaxed, let some time go by, and sure enough, I got myself together, and I was like, what am I thinking? No, I'm going to be just as miserable when I go back to the U.S. I'm going to be happy for a couple of weeks. I'm going to eat my Flamin' Hots, go to Portillo's, go to Giordano's, eat my Chicago-style pizza, have my Chicago-style Italian beef, whatever, and then I'm going to go back to feeling depressed and sad and angry because now I'm back in the place that I don't want to be, which is exactly why I came here in the first place. So, and I'm not about to get into all of it, you guys. We can save that for another day. My point is, don't let your temporary feelings force you into making long-term decisions. You might be around people that say and or do bad things. I've had embarrassing situations happen in every city that I've been in Japan. And you want to know what? It's just one day. It doesn't have to define, the rest of your life. You will have good experiences too. I've had, people say weird, bad, mean, racist things to me everywhere that I've lived in. And you want to know what? Life goes on. There's more to life than that. Those one or two people. I've had people tell me to go back to my home country, blah, blah, blah. You don't care. You build a thicker skin. You might have kids say mean, bad things about you, make fun of you, whatever. It does not matter. You will also have good kids that will love on you and tell you how much they're going to miss you, and how much they like you, and how much they appreciate your time and effort and work. Again, this job has been everything that I've ever wanted in my other jobs. And all of the previous experience that I had paid off. By having worked those other jobs, it prepared me to interview for this job. I knew what to say. I knew what to do. I knew how to teach. I knew how to help them with their English. I knew what were some bad things that I wanted them to unlearn that my last job wouldn't listen to because they didn't give a crap about what I thought. But at this job, they encouraged me to stop kids from saying things like I have an ouchie when they're in 7th grade. So, it's the small things. That's that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video encouraged, inspired you to keep fighting on and to keep pushing. Again, this isn't to force you to work a job you don't like, but just to really reconsider, do you really not like the job? Or shall I say, do you really not like the profession? Or is it your specific employer or your specific co-worker's work environment? So, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and leave a comment down below. And if you have not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also have a Facebook page, a Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter account as well. I would appreciate it if you would like and follow those pages too. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.